Good morning.
Good morning. Start showing.
Good morning.
Morning, Judge.
Good morning. Uh-oh.
Good morning. Sorry, I didn't know.
Good morning, Chuck.
We got to Linda, you there? Let me come out. Okay, Melinda's getting on. Let's talk to her. So we'll get started in a moment. These things can't ever go smooth. I mean, we've been doing it for 2 years and still there's always issues.
It's hard to believe that that the practice of law has evolved into this high-tech era, you know.
Absolutely.
Something's not going through. I don't know. No telling. Always. Technology.
Hello? Yes, sir.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you. I don't see you, Melinda.
This is Susan.
Oh, okay. No, hi, Susan. I thought you were Melinda, clerk's office.
My
Yes, ma'am,
picture,
we can hear you. We can't see you. Can you turn your camera on, Susan?
we can't get it to turn on, but we can at least talk to you.
Microphone is unmuted.
It's gonna be sunshiny today. It's like rain. I didn't get all my yard. I got about.
That was Melinda. Susan, did you find your camera where you can turn it on? There's Melinda.
Can you hear me,
We can hear you now.
Judge?
Can you hear me?
I can't hear y'all.
Try to turn your volume up.
Oh,
Can you hear now?
I've unmuted. Hold on just a moment, please.
Sometimes they need, you can.
Austin, what's the deal?
He had these hooked up yesterday. Everything was good.
Always glitching.
I know I've done this before.
If you're on here for probate, I need you to turn your cameras on so we can see you.
So, yeah, I'm unmuted. And these were working yesterday when he tested them.
Okay, yeah, you're running through your,
I could get it like bits and pieces. Good. I'd rather do this anyway.
all right, sound check and somebody say,
Check, check.
okay,
Yes, sir. Can you hear me now?
Loud and clear.
basically those earbuds.
You ready for me to swear?
Well, I can't see, Susan Bertrand's on and I can't see her.
Oh,
Can you hear me?
Yeah, she can hear you.
Judge, can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Hey,
Can you
this is
turn-
Nicky Bertrand.
Hey.
My camera is not working for some reason.
Okay, we're gonna go ahead and go. That's all right. You know how to turn it on, right?
Yeah, but it's not working.
Okay. So you're in the Michael G's or Mickey? Mickey.
It shows Michael G's iPhone. I'm on the iPhone.
All right, and Susan's on the other one?
I'm
She-
on. I'm
She's on there
here.
with me.
I'm on here with him.
Okay. All right, I'm not gonna have to look at you because I recognize both of your voices, so we're gonna go ahead and go forward. But I'm gonna have to trust that you raise your right hand when we swear you in. So if you'll all
Okay.
raise your right hand, if you're gonna testify, Melinda, will you swear me in, please?
do you swear or affirm that the testimony you're giving today is true and correct? So help you God.
Yes.
I did.
Okay, you can put your hand down. Texas County Probate Court come to order, calls number 182, the state of Robert Edward Paskowski. Mr. Norris,
Yes, Your Honor. Joel Norris for the applicant.
you may proceed, Counselor.
Thank you. I would like to call as my first witness, Audra Paskowski.
Yes.
All right. Your Honor, it's my first time in your court. Is it all right if I share my screen for them to view the will?
Yes, sir, you may.
Thank you. It says that I don't have permission to do that.
Okay, I have the will here.
Sure. All right. All right, Audra, the judge is going to show you a will, and I know that you've seen it before, but first tell us how you knew the decedent
I am his ex-wife.
and over the years, are you personally familiar and well acquainted with his handwriting and signature?
Yes.
All right. And on the will, you saw a copy of the will that we've offered for probate? Is that right?
Yes.
And do you recognize that to be his handwriting and his signature?
Yes, it is.
And the document, I believe, was dated February 24th, 2021. And on that date, was he at least 18 years of age and of sound mind?
Yes.
All right. Thank you. No further questions?
Mr. Norris, if you want to share your screen now, we can fix that permission issue.
Okay,
I'm not
thank
sure if
you.
it applies anymore.
All right. Thank you. And Audra, I'll just confirm with you that that's the document. That's his handwriting and signature.
Yes. Yes, it is.
Oh, all right. Thank you. No further questions.
Okay, call your next witness.
All right. I'd like to call Catherine now.
I'm here.
All right. Can you tell us your name, please?
Catherine Levon Paskowski.
You might have to speak a little louder for
Oh,
us.
I'm sorry. It's both of us sharing. Catherine Levon Paskowski.
Perfect. And how did you know the decedent?
I was married to him from 1993 through 2001.
And are you, over those years, you were well acquainted with his handwriting and signature?
Yes.
And on the document that purports to be his last will shown to you now, is that his handwriting and signature?
It is.
And on the day that he signed it, February 24th, 2021, was he of sound mind and at least 18 years of age?
He was.
All right, thank you. No further questions.
Okay. Any more witnesses, counsel?
I have one more witness, Your Honor.
All right, call him, please.
Jared.
Yes.
Hi, could you tell us your name, please?
Jared Thomas Paskowski.
And how are you related to the decedent?
I am his son.
And he died on September 30th, 2021. Is that correct?
Yes.
And is it correct that 4 years have not elapsed since the date of his death?
Yes.
And at the time of his death, he was domiciled and maintained a residence in Chambers County?
Yes.
And the document that was just shown to us dated February 24th, 2021 that purports to be his last will, it's correct that he never revoked that will?
No.
Or he never revoked the will, correct?
Yeah.
All right, thank you. And did he have any children or adopt any children after he made that will?
No.
And was he ever divorced after he made that will?
No.
Does the will leave anything to the state of Texas, a governmental agency of the state, or a charitable organization?
No.
And although the will, make sure I'm saying this right, the will names you as executor, and all of your siblings have agreed that you can serve as the independent executor. Is that correct?
Yes.
All right. And you are qualified and not disqualified. You've never been convicted of a felony. Is that correct?
No.
Okay.
That is correct. Yes. Okay.
That's correct. Thank you. No further questions, Your Honor. We ask that you admit the will, appoint my client as the independent executor to serve without bond and to waive appraisers.
All right, so done.
Thank
Thank you, sir. Thank you, testifies. All right, cause number 2, state of Bobby document. Good morning, Mr. Bill.
Good morning, Judge. Look,
You
Judge.
may proceed.
All right, just can we swear my witnesses in here? I don't think we did. I don't know if we did or not.
Well, I think we did. We swore you guys in, didn't we?
Did y'all raise y'all's right hand? No, they didn't for
All
whatever
right,
reason.
raise your right hand, please. We'll swear you in,
To
both of you.
Ms. Riva, could you raise it? Okay.
Shit, Melinda, you muted.
Okay, do you swear from the testimony you're giving is true and correct, so help you God?
I do.
All right, now you may proceed, counsel.
All right, thank you, Jess. All right, can you state your name for the record, please? Come on up here, Michael. No, I'm talking to you, Michael. Come on.
Michael Wayne Fountain.
Okay, and you're here on the probate for Bobby Dockins, correct?
Correct.
And what was his relation to you?
My uncle.
He was your uncle, okay. And Mr. Dockins died on November 3rd, 2021?
Yes, sir.
And 4 years had not elapsed since the date of his death, correct?
Correct.
The court has jurisdiction over this estate because Mr. Dockins resided at 503 Davis Avenue here in Anahuac, correct?
Correct.
Now, to the best of your knowledge, no children were born or adopted by Mr. Dockins after the execution of this will, right?
Correct.
And you know, I have filed this will, and to the best of your knowledge, every citation has been served and returned in the manner prescribed by law.
Correct.
At the time of the execution of the will, Mr. Dockins was at least 18 years of age, right?
Correct.
He was, to the best of your knowledge, he was of sound mind, and executed the will with properly in the state of Texas, correct?
Correct.
And to the best of your knowledge, he did not revoke this will at all.
Correct.
Nor did he, you don't know anybody that's contested this will, correct?
Correct.
Okay. Now in the will names, go to application. Ms. Riva Fountain as the executor, is that correct?
That is correct.
And who is Ms. Riva to you?
My mother.
Your mother, okay. And she has filed, which I have filed it, but she just signed it this morning, her renouncement of being the executor correct? Correct. And she's the sole beneficiary in the will, correct? Now, the will did name Miss Effie's Dawkins as a beneficiary, correct?
Correct.
But she has passed away,
Correct.
right? And she was the wife of Mr. Dawkins, correct?
Correct.
Okay. And then as the other sole beneficiary, since Miss Dawkins passed away, that would be your mom, Reva Fountain, correct?
Yes.
Okay. And but she has, like I said, she renounced her right to be executor, so, and has agreed that you be the executor, correct?
That's correct.
Okay, and we filed the motions and things of that nature for the judge to sign so you can become executor, correct?
Correct.
Okay. Now, there's a necessity for this administration, correct?
Correct.
No governmental agency or charitable organization has been named as a devisee in the will, correct?
Correct.
And you know that this will was signed by two witnesses and was self-proved, correct?
Correct.
Let me see who those people were. Actually, there's, Betty Webb and Connie Pringle acknowledged that Bobby signed this will, correct, on November 1st of 2007, correct?
That's correct.
Okay. Judge, I filed or will file the oath and the proof of death and other facts here shortly, but also I will file Miss Reva filed her renouncement of executor, as well as I filed a first amended order admitting the will to probate because originally Ms. Fountain was the applicant. It was changed to Mr. Michael here, and I had in the first order that Reva was the applicant, so I changed it. So I filed that here just a few minutes ago. That's all the questions, Judge.
Okay, everybody admit the will to probate, appoint independent executor and grant letters for Mr. Michael Wayne Fountain.
All right, thank you, Judge.
Thank you, sir. All right, y'all take care.
I'll get that one to you, Judge.
Yes, ma'am. All right, number 11, the state of Christy Lorraine Smith. Ms. Savage, good morning.
Present.
Present, Your Honor.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. Mr. Grantham.
Yes.
Oh, there you are. Okay. I got all these little boxes. Got to figure out who's talking. You may proceed, Counsel.
Thank you, Your Honor. I would call as my first witness, Christy, I'm sorry, Emily Joseph. Could you state your name for the court, please?
Emily Lorraine Joseph.
And you're the applicant in this application to determine heirship, correct?
Yes.
And the decedent, Christy Lorraine Smith, also known as Christy Lorraine Joseph, that was your mom, is that correct?
Yes.
And she died on or about February 28th, 2008, at the age of 36 in Baytown, Chambers County, is that correct?
Correct.
Is it also true that no administration is pending upon your mom's estate and none is necessary? Is that correct?
Yes.
And it's in the best interest of the estate for this court to determine who are the heirs and the only heirs of your mom. Is that correct?
Yes.
As far as the other heir, you have a half brother, Tyler Lee Smith. Is that correct?
Correct.
And he's filed a waiver in this case. Is that correct?
Yes.
So at the time of your mom's death, she owned some real estate at 1025 Goo Hole Road, Cove, Texas. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. And we have not left out any heirs as far as those are the only two heirs, you and Tyler. Is that correct?
Yes.
She was not predeceased by any child. Is that correct?
Correct.
And at the time of her death, your mom was actually married. Your father, it was who?
Christopher Sterling Joseph.
And your father, Christopher Joseph, was married to your mom at the time of his death. Is that correct?
Yes.
And he died April 13th, 2001. Is that correct?
Yes.
And then your mom remarried. And when she remarried Roger Allen Smith. Is that correct?
Yes.
And then during that marriage is when Tyler, your half brother, was born, correct?
Yes.
And then your stepfather passed away also in, do you know what year he died?
I do not.
What, according to the application in the research that we did, your stepfather passed away on or about February 1st, 2012. Do you remember that?
I think that fits. Yes.
Yes. And Judge, just for information, my client was very young when her father died, and she was fairly young when how old were you, Miss Joseph, when your mother died?
11.
Okay, so we had to go back and look at public records to get some of this information. And Miss Joseph, one of the things that we discovered was that your stepfather had actually filed for divorce, and your mom died while that case was pending. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. And so your stepfather passed away. Is it true that there are no debts owed by your mother that are not secured by liens upon real estate? Is that true?
True.
And it's also true that we don't know of any debts that your mom owed. Is that correct?
That's correct.
And you have talked with two disinterested witnesses, Susan Bertrand and Gloria Lynn Searles, who are also here this morning. Is that correct?
Correct.
And they are here to testify in this case to the same facts that we just went over with you. Is that correct?
Yes.
Your Honor, and you are asking this court to determine heirship, and that you and your brother Tyler are the only heirs of your deceased mom. Is that correct?
Yes.
And I'll pass the witness at this time, Your Honor.
Ms. Evans.
Yes, ma'am, in regard to your mother, you stated that you were 11 when she passed away?
Just about, I believe, 5th grade.
Okay. And after that time, you lived with relatives?
Yes.
Is
My
that correct?
grandparent.
And that would have been who?
Darlene and Adrian Eugene Martin.
Okay. And during that time, did you ever have any knowledge of your mother having any other children besides you and Tyler?
That's correct. Just us.
Just you. Okay. So to your knowledge, she never had a child that she gave up for adoption?
No.
Okay. I pass the witness.
All right, Counselor, call your next witness.
Yes, I would call Cheryl Susan Bertrand, and I believe she's on the on Michael G's iPhone, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
And
yes, you may proceed.
Would you state your full name for the court, please?
Cheryl Susan Bertrand.
And Miss Bertrand, how are you related to the decedent in this case?
Christy was my niece, and Emily is my
Niece.
my niece.
Your great niece, maybe,
Right.
right? And is it true that you knew, we have gone over this affidavit of facts concerning the identity of heirs. I emailed that to you and went over it with you, correct?
Yes.
And in that affidavit, I'm just going to go over it with you again. You state that you knew the decedent from August 3rd, 1971. That was her date of birth, correct?
That's correct.
Until her death in February 28th, 2008, correct?
Correct.
And that her place of death was in Baytown, Chambers County, Texas. Is that correct?
That's correct.
As far as her marital history, she was previously married to Christopher Sterling Joseph, correct?
Yes.
That was back in December of 94.
Right.
And then the marriage ended April 13th, 2001, when he passed away. Is that correct?
That's correct.
And during that marriage is when Emily Lorraine Joseph was born. Is that correct?
Yes.
And then subsequent to that marriage and the death of that husband, she remarried, and she remarried Mr. Smith. Is that correct?
That's correct.
And I believe his name was Roger Allen Smith. Is that correct?
That's correct.
And during that marriage is when Tyler was born on May 23rd, 2003. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
And is it true that decedent did not have or adopt any other children or did not take any other child into his home to raise? Is that true?
That's true.
And there's other people that have knowledge regarding the decedent's marital history, and that would be Seth Fisher and Brandy Conrad. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Is it true that your sister died without leaving a will?
Yes.
Is it also true that there's been no administration of the decedent's estate?
Yes.
Is it also true that there are no debts that we're aware of? Is that correct?
That's correct.
And there's no inheritance taxes or anything like that owed on the estate that we know of. Is that correct?
Correct.
And the only real estate that we know that she owned was this 1025 Goo Hole Road in Cove, Texas. Is that true?
That's true.
Thank you, Your Honor. I'll pass the witness.
Savage.
Susan, Miss Bertrand, I'm sorry. In regard to Christy, now she wasn't your sister, she was your niece, correct? Okay. And were you familiar with where she was living during the time prior to her death?
Oh, yeah, sure.
Okay, so you knew if she'd have had any other children born that weren't these two kids, would you have known about it?
Oh, yes.
Okay, so y'all stayed up on what she was doing, and to your knowledge, she never gave up another child for adoption.
No, ma'am, she didn't.
Or she never had any other child, period, other than Emily Lorraine, Joseph, and Tyler Lee Smith.
That's correct.
And did you live near the Martins, who were the grandparents of these two kids?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so y'all all lived out in Cove, Texas?
Yes, but I moved Barber's Hill.
Okay, but it's local. Everybody knows kind of what everybody's doing in that little area, correct? Okay.
Right.
All right. Thank you. I'll pass the witness.
All right, call your next witness, Counselor.
Okay, I would call Gloria Lynn Searles.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning, Ms. Searles. Have you heard all of the questions that I have asked for Cheryl Susan Bertrand?
I have.
If I ask you all of those questions, would your answers be the same as far as the biographical information regarding is this your sister, correct?
It was my sister, yes, and they would be correct.
And so you were obviously very familiar with your sister's history as far as who she was with, who she was married to, and whether or not she had any other children, correct?
That is correct.
Your Honor, I pass the witness.
Yes.
Ms. Searles, in regard to this, I'm just going to ask you one question. Do you have any knowledge of Christy having any other children other than Emily, Lorraine, Joseph, and Tyler Lee Smith?
He had no other children.
Okay. And you kept up with her during her lifetime?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So if she had had any other kids and adopted them out, you would have known about it?
That is correct.
Or even if she didn't adopt them out. These were just the only two.
That's correct.
Thank you. I'll pass the witness.
I have no further questions, Your Honor. We would ask that the judgment declaring heirship that was submitted to the court be signed by the court. I believe Ms. Savage has been paid as well.
That's correct, Judge.
All right, hereby approve judgment declaring heirship. And then you have the statement of evidence, heirship without administration. And I'm approving that also. Thank you all.
Thank you, Your Honor. Maybe we be excused?
Maybe.
Thank you.
All right, cause number 17, the state of Larry James DeVillier. Good morning, Mr. Baker.
Good morning.
You may proceed, counsel.
Thank you. I have with me here Ms. Paulette Coco Cobb when we're offering for probate the last will and testament of Larry James DeVillier, also known as Larry James DeVillier Sr. and the issuance of letters testamentary. And so you are Paulette Coco Cobb, correct?
Yes, that is correct.
And when you were born, your name was DeVillier, correct?
That is correct.
And Larry James DeVillier is the decedent. He was your father. Is that correct?
That is correct.
And Larry was also known as Larry James DeVillier Sr.,
Yes,
as opposed to your brother, Larry James DeVillier Jr.,
yes,
who is commonly known as Buddy.
yes.
All right. Now, is it true that Larry, I'll call him Larry, was born on or about 13 August 1933 in or around Rayne, Louisiana, and died on or about 11 February 2022 in Chambers County, Texas, at the age of 85 years?
Yes,
At the time of his death, was he domiciled in and reside in Chambers County, Texas?
yes,
And his residential address was 8522 FM 1663, Winnie, Texas 77665. Is that correct?
that is correct.
All right. Now, I show to you a scan of the original last will and testament of Larry James DeVillier Sr. that consists of 8 pages and is signed by Larry James DeVillier, Richard Baker as witness, me, and Cynthia Cardenas as witness. Are you familiar with that document?
I am.
Judge, would you take judicial notice that you have that original document with you?
Go down.
Thank you. Is this the last will and testament of your father?
It is.
And if he had, did he ever revoke this will to your knowledge?
No, you did not.
If he had revoked this will, is it more likely than not that you would know about it?
I would have known.
Okay. And also, the date of that will is December 19, 2019.
That is correct.
After that date, was any child born to or adopted by your father?
No,
Okay. And so, and Judge, for the record, that's a self-proving will?
Yes, sir.
All right. Now, is it also true that your father was not married at the time of his death?
that is correct.
Right. However, he was the widower of your mother, Ginger Faye DeVillier.
Yes,
Her maiden name was Smith,
yes,
and she was commonly known as BB.
correct.
All right. And they married 13 November of 1955, and she died on 12 June 2019 in Chambers County, Texas.
That is correct.
All right. And that is the only marriage for either one.
Yes,
All right. Now, of that marriage and of your father and of your mother, there were only 3 children, correct?
correct.
One is you.
Yes,
Then the other is your brother, Buddy.
yes,
And then there was a third child, Dwayne Edgar DeVillier, commonly known as Dean DeVillier.
yes, that's
All right.
correct.
And obviously you're of majority age. Buddy is a majority age, right?
Yes,
And Dean is of majority age.
yes,
All right. And that's all the children of your father or your mother.
that is correct.
All right. Now, in your father's will, he left a gift to what we call the grandchildren class. And so let's go over who the grandchildren were or are at the date of your father's death.
Okay.
Okay. And so we have the first one named is Tyler James Coco, and that is your son.
Correct.
Then we have Kate Elizabeth DeVillier and Kristen Mary DeVillier, and they are both daughters of Buddy DeVillier.
Yes,
And then we have Justin Dean DeVillier and Colton Rye DeVillier, Rye spelled R-Y, and they are both sons or children of Dean.
yes,
And that is all the grandchildren.
yes.
If there were other grandchildren, is it more likely than not that you would know about it?
I would have known.
I mean, have you always kept up with the family?
Yes,
And okay.
yes,
And you kept up with your mom's business, you kept up with your dad's business, and you're aware.
yes,
All right. And by the way, your residence is where is your residence? It's in 6575 Merrick Lane, Beaumont, Texas, 77706 in Jefferson County,
that is
correct?
correct.
All right. But you graduated high school at East Chambers.
I did.
All right. What year was that?
Not telling.
Okay. Now, is it also true that your father did not apply for and receive? There's those two things happening at once. Any Medicaid benefits on or after March 1st of 2005? Is that correct?
That is correct.
I mean, he was in the process. He was gonna apply for some
Right.
Medicaid,
Right.
but he didn't
The day
die.
before he died.
Right.
Yes. Yeah.
So he never applied for and received.
No,
So that's correct.
that is correct.
All right. And the, now, is there a need for an administration of your father's estate?
Yes.
All right. And you are nominated as independent executrix to serve without bond or any other security. Is that correct?
That is correct.
And is there any need for an appraisal of your father's estate?
No, there is not.
And so, Judge, that concludes my examination of the witness, and I ask that, oh, no, it doesn't. A document I have here entitled Proof of Death and Other Facts with your name on it. Have you read this? It's a 3-page document. Have you read it?
I have.
And is everything in there true?
Yes.
And do you adopt everything in that document as your testimony today?
Yes.
Okay, we will sign that, Judge, and submit it with the evidence in the case, as you do in normal proof of death and other facts. And we ask that you admit the will to probate and authorize letters testamentary, and also declare the names of the grandchildren as set forth in the proposed order that I submitted.
So done. Thank you, Counselor. Ms. Cobb.
Thank you.
Okay, we're done, correct?
You are done.
Thank you.
All right, cause number 18, the state of Francisco Villanueva. Ms. Clapper, good morning.
Good morning, Judge. Can you hear me?
I can. You may proceed.
Is your name Juan Ron Villanueva?
It is.
And you're the son of Francisco Villanueva?
I am.
And your father was a resident of Chambers County at the time of his death?
He was.
And had been for about 30 years?
That's correct.
He lived with you at your home here in Chambers County?
He did.
Now, your father had 2 children during his lifetime,
Yes.
but your sister predeceased your father.
That's correct.
And when she died, she had no heirs.
That's correct.
So you're the only heir of your father.
That's correct.
And I'm going to show you the will that we are offering today for probate to the court and ask you if you're familiar with your father's signature.
That's his signature.
All right. It appears that he signed it on May the 21st of 1998 in the presence of J. Milton Stewart, Mary Ellen Crail, and a notary, Patricia Gwynn.
Okay, that's correct.
Which makes it self-proof. Did your dad ever revoke this will during his lifetime?
He did not.
Did he marry anybody or have any children after he made this will?
He did not.
And how old was he at the time of his death in December 21 of 21?
He was 89.
This will does name your namesake uncle, correct? Which would have been Ramon Villanueva, but he lives in Tennessee.
That's correct.
And he has signed a waiver of the right to serve as executor, and you're asking the court to accept that waiver and to appoint you as the executor of the estate because you're second named in the will to act as the executor.
That's correct.
And you're not by any means disallowed by law of serving as the executor.
That's correct.
And you're willing to do it.
Yes.
Now, this will does not name any type of charity or governmental entity as a beneficiary. In fact, it names you.
That's correct.
And your father was not on, as you've heard today at other times, Medicaid at the time of his death.
No.
And hadn't received any of those benefits.
No.
There is a necessity for the estate to be handled. There's a house. Is there not?
That's correct.
And some other things that you have to handle for your dad, and you're willing to do that.
Yes.
And you're asking the court to sign the order admitting the will to probate and grant you letters of testamentary. You also signed what is called an affidavit, proof of death and other facts, which I'm showing to you.
Mm-hmm.
You have signed it in front of a notary, and we have filed it for the court. And if I were to ask you every question on there, it would be true and correct.
That's correct.
Or you wouldn't have signed it.
That's right.
All right, so that's all, Your Honor. I think we're,
Hereby admit the will of probate, authorize letters.
thank you. Have a good day.
All right, last but not least, calls number 21, the state of Mary Faye Foster. Good morning.
Good morning, Judge.
You may proceed, Counselor.
Thank you, Judge. Joel, if you'll state your name for the court record, please.
Joel Francis Foster,
And what was your relationship to Miss Foster?
one and only son.
And did Mary die on January the 9th, 2022 in Chambers County at the age of 90?
Yes,
She had a fixed place of residence here in Chambers County at the date of death?
yes,
And did she leave a valid will?
yes,
And that will was signed by her on July the 1st, 1992, correct?
yes,
And we submitted the original will, and you've seen the copy of the will, and that she never revoked this will submitted to the court, correct?
correct.
And how many children were born of Miss Foster?
One,
Just you, correct? And in 1992, your father had already passed away, correct?
correct.
So she changed her will and she named you as independent executor, correct? To serve with that. And Miss Foster did not leave anything to a charitable organization or government entity.
True.
And you were qualified to serve as independent executor to serve without.
Yes,
And you're asking the court today to admit the will and issue letters of testamentary.
yes.
That's all we have, Judge.
All right, everybody admit the little probate and authorize letters.
Thank you, Judge.
Thank you.
Good to see you, Joe.
See you, sir.
Bye-bye.
All right, take care. Have a good day.
Bye-bye.
Thank you, Melinda.